Yo, what up, dogs? It's Serb the Dog, and welcome. Today I'm going to be talking about everyone's favorite forced induction systems, the exhaust-powered turbocharger, and the belt-powered supercharger. What even is forced induction, you may ask? Well, as Google puts it, forced induction is the process of delivering compressed air to the intake of an internal combustion engine. This helps boost performance, since more air can be put into the cylinders. Therefore, more fuel can be put into the cylinders. Therefore, the engine can run faster. Go watch my previous video if you want to learn more on how an internal combustion engine works. I go into deep detail on it there. So yeah, long story short, a forced induction system is a system that helps put more air into an internal combustion engine. Now that we've got that cleared up, let's start talking about turbochargers and superchargers. The first forced induction system we will talk about is turbochargers. These were invented in 1905 by a Swiss engineer to help keep planes at higher altitudes while still maintaining their sea level horsepower. I recommend watching Donut Media's video on how turbos work. They go into much more detail on the origin of turbochargers. The way a turbocharger works, when the exhaust gets pushed out of the cylinder, instead of going straight out the tailpipe, a turbine intercepts it. The exhaust spins the turbine, which then spins the second part of the turbo. When this part spins, it sucks in a ton of air, which then gets put back into the piston. This helps speed up the operation of the engine. However, a turbocharger takes a while to spool up, so you don't get an instant boost as soon as you turn on the car. But the cool thing about turbochargers, since they don't activate instantaneously, it's really cool to get thrown back in your seat mid-drive when the turbocharger finally activates. The downside is that turbochargers are infamous for being unreliable. Since they have more components, they're just bound to break. However, they do offer more performance compared to the forced induction system. They do have a more complicated setup process compared to the next forced induction system we will talk about, superchargers. Now, these do essentially the same thing as turbochargers, but they are more reliable and they do it in a different way. Unlike a turbocharger, which uses the car's own exhaust to make the car faster, superchargers use the car's belts to spool up a turbine to force air into the exhaust. Since the system doesn't need to wait on another turbine to work, superchargers have instant speed. However, superchargers have less performance than a turbocharger since they require more work from the engine. However, they are more reliable because they have less moving parts. And they also have an easier setup process compared to turbochargers. Oh wait, I forgot to talk about sequential turbos. Oh dang it, excuse me, I have a typo in the script. A sequential turbocharger. It's sequential turbocharger. Now, forgot to talk about sequential turbochargers. This is a type of turbocharger that uses a smaller turbo for lower speeds and a bigger turbo for higher speeds, so it offers the instant speed that superchargers do. So finally, here's the basic pros and cons of turbochargers and superchargers. Turbochargers. The pros are, it's more efficient, doesn't require as much work from the engine. Slightly faster than superchargers. Cons are, they're less reliable and they're harder to set up because they have more moving components. The supercharger, the pros are, is that they're more reliable, they have less moving parts, and they're easier to set up. The cons are, is that they're less efficient, requires more work from the engine, and they're slower than turbochargers. So there you have it. My guide to superchargers and turbochargers. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and have a great day.